Okay, hi everybody. Can you hear me? Yes, great. All right, well, thank you so much for joining us today. My name is Kristen Body. I'm the Membership and Events Manager here at the Asheville Art Museum. And today I'm very excited to welcome Viola Spells for today's program. Viola is a jewelry designer and visual artist, and her work is so unique and beautifully crafted. In honor of her being here today, I'm actually wearing one of her necklaces. I don't know if you can see it. It's a black and gold flower design, and you'll get to see some more of her creations in just a little bit. Before I turn this over to Viola, I just want to go over some housekeeping for all of our attendees. So first, note that all microphones are muted by default. We are recording today's program, so if you prefer not to be recorded, please just make sure the video remains off. And you can check this by looking at the bottom left of your screen. You'll see a video and microphone camera symbol, and they should have red lines through them. We will be posting this recording in tomorrow's e-blast as well as on our event page and YouTube channel. And if you would like to ask a question, please make your comment or type your question into the chat box. We will pause at some points. Viola, you'll just let me know exactly when, and we can answer any questions that come in at that time. But I do encourage you to ask your questions as we go, so I have a few to ask Viola right away. And I also encourage you to let us know if there's anything we can do to improve these programs within Zoom. I will send out an evaluation after today's program so you can share any feedback you have. And finally, I do want to thank all our members for your commitment and support of the museum. Later tonight, we're actually hosting our first virtual fundraiser, and it will feature some live entertainment, featured artists, and you'll get to hear some remarks from staff. There will also be a silent auction and raffle. I hope you can attend, but if not, the raffle and auction will stay live until 6 p.m. on Tuesday, August 18th. And you can always catch a recording of the program. We'll post that as well to our YouTube channel. So please consider visiting our website, registering to bid. I'll post a link in the chat box, and we really appreciate your support of the museum. So thank you again for being here, and now I will turn this over to Viola.
All right, I was started out by telling you that I had, when I was about in the 5th grade growing up here in Asheville, I had to take a trip. It's going out again. Can you hear me?
Yes, Viola, we can hear you just fine.
Okay, I'm sorry.
No problem.
Anyway, I had to take a trip with my brother going to Dayton, Ohio, and we had to change over in Cincinnati, which would have been an hour layover. And this was the first time I traveled by myself with my brother on the train. So during the layover in Cincinnati, I walked around. My father had given us $25 each, and I was trying to see if I could find something that I could spend my $25 on. I saw this store and it had all these jewelry pieces, and I was so excited, but they were so expensive. I was trying to find something that I could buy for $25, and I saw this beautiful jewelry, and it was, when I went in and I asked to see the piece, I thought, oh, this is wonderful. I better wait until I get to Dayton, and I might find something there that I might like better. The whole summer, I didn't see anything I wanted. So on the trip back, and we stopped in Cincinnati, I was excited because I could get this jewelry piece. I was hoping that it would still be there. And when I went in, the lady said, oh yes, it's still here, but it's $25 plus tax, but I only had $25. So I said, I only have $25. So they decided they would sell me the jewelry piece for $25. I wore that jewelry piece. I got so many compliments, and that sold me on jewelry. I was an avid jewelry fan from then on. I still have that jewelry piece now. It is my very first necklace. Then later on, as I was a Girl Scout, my my Girl Scout leader, Mrs. Minnis, Mrs. Schaefer, who used to own an arts and crafts store at 50th and Broadway, where Meadow Mushroom is now. She had asked our Girl Scout troop if we would enamel some painter's palettes that she had designed for a conference where everyone would get this as a gift. And our job was to put the chunks of enamel on it that represent the different colors on the painter's palette. And we were excited. And as I looked through the kiln as the enamel chunks were melting, it was so exciting to see this glass color melt. And from that point on, I was an avid fan of enameling. Fast forward, while I was living in the Philadelphia area, my daughter was attending a private school in the Bryn Mawr area. The school had an actual jewelry program. And I went there as parent day. And as soon as I walked into the classroom and saw all the equipment and the jewelry pieces, I was sold on making jewelry. I took some continuing ed classes at the University of the Arts to see if I really liked it. And also at the Tyler School of Metalsmithing, which is connected to the Temple University. But I had such a busy schedule, I didn't have time to really take a lot of different workshops. So I said I would have to wait till I retired. And once I retired from the library, I moved back home to Asheville, and I decided to take classes at East Tennessee State University, where I got my BFA in metalsmithing and jewelry. And so after that, I was trying to decide, we had learned so many techniques at school, what I was going to do, what medium I was going to use. And so I remember that my first classes with my sculpture teacher, she had talked about the line and how you could just have dashes and how your eye fills in those dashes and you see a whole solid piece. And I thought, that's very interesting. Maybe I will crochet or knit wire, because that really portrays the concept of line better than anything. I decided not to knit because you had to use two tools, and I decided I would just use one tool and just crochet. So I had to practice and practice and practice until I could get my gauge just right. And some of the first pieces I did was these flat bracelets. I don't know if you can see it. And then the next pieces I started doing was these balls, which I had learned at the Aramont School. This copper balls you see here has a copper tube inside it. That's to help give it structure. And those blue beads are blue agate beads. The next piece, the black balls and the red balls are have clear quartz crystal connected to them. The next piece, the silver ball, this is just another picture of the copper balls with the earrings, and there are little pearl beads at the end. The next picture, the silver balls, I decided not to use the glass beads in the crochet wire pieces. I wanted to try just to use just the wire itself. And so the piece to the left have the thick necklace part, and the other has a narrower part. These are different ones. And I use oxidized silver, fine silver, hematite, and silver beads, black balls, I'm sorry, black balls. These are called burst of balls in silver. And the various shades is to add dimension to the piece. The next piece, hot pink, where you smaller balls, and I had 3 rows of balls intersect so they won't be by themselves, and the thread that's rounded with crystals, pink crystals, have no, so it's like 5 pieces of wire, strands of wire to make this piece. The next piece is oxidized silver with pearlite beads and the drop earrings. The next piece is brown balls. This is the bronze, antique copper, and vintage bronze. Now, I would like to take questions now for this section.
Sure. So we had one come in from Laurel, who is wondering how many of each of these do you make, or are they one of a kind? And do you make custom requests?
Yes, I usually just make one of a kind, and then if usually the customer comes in, and if they don't like exactly the way they see it, they tell me what they like. They might want a thinner necklace part, or they might want it thicker, they might want it longer, or they may want it shorter, and I customize it to what they want. They might want a different color, or they might want more balls or less balls, whatever they want. And usually I always learn something different with each piece that I customize for a customer.
Great. And Bet would like to know, how long does it take you to work on each of these pieces?
Well, there are different pieces. It may take me 2 or 3 days. Usually a necklace takes at least 3 days, unless it's a very simple flat necklaces, which we'll come to. Then I have another one that I'll show you that's coming up. That's a collar with kind of wiry pieces coming off of. That takes me at least a week, and we'll see that later on.
Great. And someone would like to know, what are the price ranges for your necklaces? And you do make bracelets and earrings as well. I do want to point that out too.
Yes, I make bracelets. I started out doing bracelets, and a simple necklace, introductory necklace is usually 100, 125, depending on what I have to do to it. Most of my earrings are around $50, and the bracelets, depending on the size, the thickness, is from maybe $50 to $100, depending on the beads, because I make up my own bead mix, and I use gemstones and chipped gemstones, crystals, and I usually try to have a dimension of color so that it will make the piece stand out.
Great. And so one question that came in from one of my colleagues in the curatorial staff, she was wondering if you are familiar with the artist Ruth Asawa, and if your work is at all inspired by her.
I'm familiar with her and her work, but I think I had already developed this before I knew more about her work.
Great. And so someone actually wants to know about your library career, and I guess how that got you to where you are today.
My library career, so I was a very avid reader, and I used to spend my Saturdays all day in the library. And when I was part of the ACE School, which is the Ashford Student Committee on Racial Equality, Mr. Rowland had divided us into various committees, and I helped to desegregate the library because I was all about books and libraries. And from that experience, I decided I wanted to be a librarian because I really wanted to go to the Central Children's Room as a child, but I was not allowed to because it was segregated. And that was why I really wanted to desegregate the library. And so since I didn't get a chance to go to the library as a child, I decided I would become a children's librarian and help children to love the library and tell stories. And I love doing that work. I started out as a children's librarian, first as a school librarian in High Point, North Carolina. Then I went to library school at the University of Michigan and got my master's. Then I started out at New York Public Library, being a children's librarian and then a branch head. Then I went to the Free Library. I started back as a children's librarian and I became a branch head and then a regional library where I ran a big region, the biggest library in the Free Library of Philadelphia. And so that was the essence of my library career, and I really, really loved it. And once I had gotten my jewelry degree and I started here at the Pink Dog as a artist making jewelry, and sometimes it took me a while to kind of understand the art world and how I learned the technique, I made the jewelry pieces, then how do you promote it? So to help me to connect all of that, I would think, well, wonder if it was a book. Wonder if this jewelry was a book, what would you do? Because I really knew how to promote libraries and programs in the library. So I really started my chit chat fashion shows. Like I would do a program in the library to bring families and community in. We would have food, I have food here, and just to make it a community event where they could come and see the jewelry and the fashion, see how the jewelry fits the fashion, and everybody talk and look at the jewelry and have a good time. And so that's my library career and the jewelry career meshed together.
That's fantastic. And I didn't even consider how when you were growing up that the libraries must have been segregated. So that's really amazing that you chose to go into that career to make sure children have access to the stories. That's really important.
Yes.
Yeah, and speaking of stories, that is an important part of your library career, and you had said in your artist bio that telling stories through your jewelry is also what you do. And so I was wondering if you could talk a little bit about that.
Well, I decided that when I was trying to pick the medium, how to promote my jewelry, I kind of was thinking about my grandmother who knew how to crochet and make quilts. And that's really kind of, I guess, where I got the bug of wanting to do crafts. And my mother also crocheted, and part of me being a Girl Scout, wanting to win awards, was I learned how to crochet and knit, trying to get an arts and crafts award. I used to beg my father every year I wanted to come out because I could never do the things I wanted to do, like go camping. My mother would never allow me to go camping. So I would have a speech every year to tell him how I wanted to come out of the Girl Scouts. But really the Girl Scouts was very beneficial because it was through the Girl Scouts that I learned about enameling, and I learned about crocheting and knitting that has benefited me to this day. So I thought about women. I wanted my art to portray what women did, and crocheting and knitting is what women did. They helped to make their homes beautiful. I can remember my grandmother and my mother had doilies. We didn't have a lot of money, but they took what little money they had and made little doilies to prettify the home, and also used crochet and knitting to make clothes. So I thought, well, this is a way to show what women did by putting this all together with this technique, because women used crochets during the centuries, and they also helped to brighten our lives by coordinating events in the community and have family events. So mothers are the ones who do all of those things. They bring color into our lives. They make it happy and memorable. And so I thought, well, what better way than to reflect that in my jewelry? And it also helped me to continue the study of line by using wire. So that's why I thought, well, the stones and the crystals, they will show the color of our lives, and the different stones will show the different emotions that women have in their lives. So I sort of kind of wove it all together, and that's where I came up with doing crochet wire.
Great. Well, I'll ask one more question and then we'll move on to your other images. So this one's from Jean, and she wants to know what size wire you use. It must be very fine in order to crochet with it.
Yes, the balls are made of 24 gauge, so they're a little stronger. And the way I also make the balls is I have different dowels with shaped in balls that I form over the wire over the balls. And really it's a knit stitch, but I use a crochet hook to make it. And then once I have the ball formed, I hammer it to work harden the ball. Now, if you look at this ball with the brown necklace, it doesn't have the metal tube inside to give it structure because it really doesn't need it. But in a necklace that's strung together, I use the metal tubes to help give it a better structure.
Great. Well, I think we should move on now to see some more of your work.
All right, you can do the next would be the crunch style. Now this has different frosted beads. I make up my own bead mix depending on the color of the wire. And once I have the piece completed, I just ball it up and crunch it together. And it gives it an elasticity. If you can see, it kind of moves and stretches a little bit. And this one has mother of pearls and different pearlettes with it, and small glass pearls. And the next one is hematite with mother of pearls also, but larger mother of pearls. There's different various sizes and frosted beads, and it has the mother of pearl clasp. Now this was a commission piece, and the lady I had it was shorter. If you see the picture before, it was shorter, but this lady wanted it longer. You know, everybody's neck and torso is different, so you really have to kind of custom make it to the person. So this way I made it longer. Now some of the pieces I just start crocheting and I decide what color, and I put the beads on the wire first, and then I just kind of crochet along. There are other pieces I actually sketch out. I want it to look a certain way. And usually I like doing both ways, but sometimes when I just start working, I could get a different kind of a look that no one else will see. It doesn't have to be like just so, you know, asymmetrical. I might have it I don't mean that, it doesn't have to be symmetrical. It can be asymmetrical, and give it like a little cutting edge where you definitely won't see this piece again. And sometimes people bring me a necklace and they'll say, I want you to make earrings to match it. So then I have to find out, do they like large earrings, small earrings, medium? And then I make sure I do some type of crochet wire with it so that it would match the necklace, because usually the necklace won't have crochet wire in it. So I have to take what I do and make it fit, and also to make what the client likes, so everybody is satisfied. Okay, the next piece is the red. I wanted to start getting my pieces to look more fiber looking. I was very interested in fiber, and that was one of the reasons why I started with this because I like the texture of the material. And this has crystal square beads in it. And I wanted to look really like fabric. The next piece is brass with red and crystals and crystal beads. And it's very sculptural. I like to take them and sometimes give it a certain shape. I like touching it with, sometimes with regular jewelry, with silver pieces, metal pieces. You don't have that textural feeling in it. And that was one of the things that I liked about doing the crochet wire. Now I could take, this is going into the flat necklaces. Well, maybe we'll do these and then take questions. This is silver with mother of pearl scattered through. And this is a piece that I just started crocheting, and it sort of took a shape of its own. And the earrings I did is more like a vintage style. Okay, the next one is turquoise. No, this is one of the entry pieces necklace where it's just flat, it's just 2 rows, and I try to make the beads they go from different shades of blue to give it dimension. And these are one of the favorite of people. I do various beads, different color beads, green, whatever, you know, they might like. Sometimes I do red with gold. That was, first I started just doing silver, and then people started requesting gold wire because I wanted to just stick with silver wire. But then once I got a request, then I had to kind of branch out a bit. So this one is what I call my introductory piece, and it usually goes for about $100. The next piece is a copper wire with turquoise beads, and this leaf is a copper leaf that has a little bit of turquoise enamel on it. And this technique is called chasing and repoussé. You start out with a flat piece of metal, and you take different tools and a hammer, and you hammer it around to get the various shapes and lines in the metal. This other piece is coral, red coral, and various gray different beads. There's some labradorite beads in there. And the stone is a Berber agate from Morocco, which I wire wrap. And you can take this cabochon on and off and wear it separately. Okay, the next piece is hematite, and I would get large stones and have them at the end, and people really seem to like that. This other necklace is a labradorite, and it has aquamarines and labradorite beads in this piece. The next piece is bronze wire with metallic druzy, and it's an agate. And the next piece, okay, we'll stop there and see if there are any more questions.
Yes, so there's one question that came in from Joey, who says he's not familiar with knitting or crocheting. Is each section one piece of wire, or is it one continuous piece, or do you incorporate a few throughout?
It's a one continuous piece, but sometimes when you work with wire, it will break, or I might come to the end of the spool, and I can then try to end it on the end and then tie in a new piece of wire. But I try to make it one continuous piece.
Great. And Laurel was wondering where you get your materials from and how heavy are the pieces with structures and stones?
The pieces are very light because it's wire, and you have this negative and positive space with the air flowing through. So it's going to be light. It's not heavy at all. It's ideally for people who like chunky jewelry. So that was, I made these links of pieces that I have on it. Looks like it might be heavy, but it's very, very light.
I can say that's true. Having worn your necklace all morning, it's not very heavy at all, just a little bit of pressure around the neck, but honestly, you can forget about it and not even remember it's there. Gary would like to know how the pieces of stones, pearls, beads, etc. are attached.
Okay, when I start a piece, I put all the beads or crystals or whatever stones I'm going to use, I put it on the wire first. And then as I work my pattern, I bring the beads up into the piece.
Interesting. And Laurel was wondering if you only really make necklaces, earrings, and bracelets, or if there are any pins.
I have made brooches, but not that many.
Great. And then the last question is from Michelle. She's just hoping you could talk a little bit more about the wire materials you use, the gauge, and the colors.
Oh yeah, that was the thing. I started out with the balls and I said 24 gauge, then I kind of forgot. All right, the necklaces are primarily made with 26 gauge. And sometimes I use 28 gauge, which is very fine, and it takes a little longer to make it, but this necklace I have on is made with 28 gauge. I started doing 26, but I really didn't like that look. I wanted the links to be a finer look, so I went smaller.
Great. Well, I think we can move on now.
All right, this piece has that crunch style, and this is an enamel leaf. This is watercolored enamel. I use the liquid, white liquid, and then on top of that, I painted with watercolor. Well, when I first did this leaf, I used something else and I really didn't like it. And then I remember I had my watercolor, so I just sort of painted over it, and it turned out beautifully. The next piece, these are the leaves. This is my first Chit Chat fashion show, was titled Talking About Leaves. And these are some of the leaves. I worked the whole summer making these various leaves. I took different workshops and on enameling. You remember the enameling that I learned in the Girl Scout? This is some of my enameling coming out. And it turned out beautifully. And I really enjoyed doing that. The next shot. This is another enamel leaf. It's an oak leaf, and it also has a crunch style necklace, crochet wire necklace. This is another oak leaf, and it has a crochet wire, but it's a flat. And I just did the 2 leaves on the side out of crochet wire to give it that leaf look. This is a different style. This is the collar, flat collar with the extensions. This is black and gold. I love black and gold because it has so much drama. And I have like gold crystal beads on it. And I've done all different colors. I've done black and white. I've done copper. I like this necklace. This necklace takes me about a week because each extension is put in one by one. I think it's this is the closer up of it. And it gives such energy with this necklace. People really love this necklace. I get a lot of questions about this necklace when they come into my studio. The next one. This doesn't have any crystals in it, it's just glass beads. It's medium green and very pale mint green, which contrasts lovely with the copper wire. The next one. Okay, I'll stop and see if there's any more questions because this gets to a different type.
Yes, so we'll just take a few. So Michelle would like to know where you bake the enamel. Do you have a kiln of your own?
Yes, I have a kiln of my own. I have plenty copper sheets and I cut them out, shape them up, you know. Once I form them, then I use powdered enamel and put them in the kiln.
Great. And Laurel seems very impressed by all your hard work and asks if you do this all yourself or if you have any assistance.
Oh, I do it all myself. I try to talk my daughter into it, but no go.
And then Laurel also wanted to know if there's any special care needed for these pieces.
No, I usually have a little container, a little cloth bag that I ask people that once they buy a piece that I give to them so that they can keep it protected. And that's all you have to do, really. The silver pieces, you might need a cloth if it tarnishes, but most of the time, with like a piece like this, there's nothing that you really have to do with this piece. This is non-tarnishable.
Great. And then one last question. A few people have been asking about where to buy your work, and I have mentioned that it's available at the museum store and at your studio in the River Arts District. Do you also have a website where you sell your work?
I don't have a website, but you can go on Facebook. It's called Zenobia Studio, or on Instagram, it's Zenobia Studio. And I've had people like my pieces and contact me and commission me to do a piece for them, whichever piece that they like.
Perfect. All right, I think we can move on now.
This is, I call my two necklaces. And this is gold, hematite, and copper. And the way I do this is I make loops with the wire in the round. And then I take my crochet and my crochet hook, and I go through it and pull the wire around till I work it around. There's another way you can also do too, by weaving the wire in and out and then bringing it through various holes. When you finish it, to make it smaller, you can decide what size of the tube you want it to be. For the next picture, this tube, which is silver, oxidized silver and black. And this I wove just to give it a different look so people can see what all you can do with two necklaces. The next picture. Can you hear me? Oh, okay, this is like the first step. It's all the same size. This is black, oxidized silver, and fine silver. And this is just to give you a close-up of what it looks like. The crochet wire, these are copper metal beads, square beads. Okay, the next one. This is a larger tube that has different crystals. This is what I'm going to use. Think of the name. Anyway, it has different beads. It has like a metal look to it that flashes purples and greens. You really can't tell from this picture, but it's iridescent. My daughter tells me it's iridescent. I forgot. And it's very nice. It gives it like a subtle look to it. Okay, the next one. This is a gold piece that not really gold, brass, I would say, because I don't really weave in gold yet. that I start out small and I gradually increase the stitches until I come to the center. And then once I reach the center, then I decrease the stitch to give it this look. And these are the silver links that I was telling you about. This necklace can be worn 3 different ways. I have 2 links that have snaps on it, and you can take it apart and you can mix it like it's double here in front, or you can wear it like single. I think the next picture is single. Yes, there you can wear it single, or you can wear it close to the neck with a long piece coming down the center. So now with my necklaces, I try to make them where you can wear it 2 or 3 different ways. This, I was in a fashion show and the dress had leaves all in the back. It was very plain in the front, but in the back had all these leaves. And so I decided I would make the necklace to match the dress and have them shaped like leaves. And they have little crystal beads coming down the center. And these are the earrings to match it. This is an example of where I use 2 different color wires to give a certain effect. The first pair is real, it's blue and gold. And I was really kind of trying to get a shield look shape and then have the gold beads to come around. And the other is I wanted to get more of kind of like an African shape to it, give off an African look, but still be contemporary looking with clean lines. This is an example of what the pieces look like with beads, the different type of earrings I make. I'm using metal tops to it and attach the crochet wire to the metal piece. And this is just an example of showing that these are unfinished, but they're earrings, and the bigger pieces can be worn as a pendant, or it can be made as a pin, a brooch. And those are pearls in the center. This is an example of my new work. I'm getting into, this is enamel on steel with the crochet wire attached. And so I've been taking a lot of Zoom classes this summer with doing steel, with gold on steel, etching steel, and then patina them and hammering them to give it shape, and then attach the crochet wire. So that's where I'm going for the future. This is my protest jewelry. We have exhibit coming up here at the Pink Dog called In Solidarity. And this piece is called Hands Up, Don't Shoot. And you can see I have the crochet wire attached to the top. And I also do sculpture. These are cast bronze. This is called Village Couple. And the next piece is also cast bronze, and it's called Missing Mama. And I'll take questions now.
So we had a question come in from Michelle. You briefly mentioned your studio, Zenobia Studios, and she wanted to know what the inspiration for the name was.
Zenobia Studio is my mother's name. And in my family, we have a lot of Zenobias. So my great aunt's name Zenobia, who my mother was named after. And I have a lot of cousins whose name is Zenobia. So it's like a family name. It's a biblical name of a minor character in the Bible.
Perfect. Right now, it seems that we just have a lot of comments coming in. People are saying that your work is absolutely stunning. You have a lot of talent, and this is one hell of a retirement after a full career. And someone asks if you have no limits. So everyone is quite impressed with the range of your work. And so I think if anyone else has any questions, please feel free to send them our way now.
I did kind of want to show you this. Was when I first started out, I was making flat bracelets like this. And then here's another black with multicolored beads. This is one of my first bracelets. But because I like it, this one here can be flat, but sometimes I can just move it. That's why I said I like the texture of it and how you can, when you can move it and push it around, it can have a different look where it bows out. So it gives a different shape and a dimension. This has square silver metal beads on it.
That's great. And just remind us, is Pink Dog Creative actually open for visitors right now?
Yes, it is. You have to, of course, wear masks, but mostly a lot of the artists haven't really come back good yet. And so I think right now, Saturday is the best day to come in. With me, you call me and make an appointment. My number is 828-301-3495. And the Pink Dog is located at 344 Depot Street.
Perfect. And we have one more question from Michelle, who wants to know where you get your wire and if it's specifically for making jewelry or for other purposes. And she wants to know a little bit more about what gives it its color. I know someone earlier was fascinated by the one with the pink wire.
All right. There's two companies that I know of called Artistic Wire and Para Wire. And I buy the color already on it. I don't try to, only other color I can do is with fine silver wire. I can blacken it or patina it so that it has like a hematite look to it. But usually I just use the wire that I buy it already made up. I don't do anything else to the wire.
And then it's all specifically for jewelry making purposes. You don't use wire such as fishing wire or anything like that?
No, I don't use any fishing wire. No, this is specifically for jewelry, or some people might use it for wire wrapping, but mine is mostly for jewelry for the woven wire part.
Perfect. Well, I think those are all the questions that came in. Thank you so much, Viola. This was wonderful to hear about your process, and I hope that folks come and visit you at Pink Dog. As you can see, she's actually in her studio right now with some of the works on display in the back. And as a reminder, we have some of her work in the museum store, so you could check that out online too. The gold tube, something similar to that, is available, as well as the necklace that I'm wearing myself and some bracelets too. So do you have any last thing to say, Viola?
I think you're wearing the necklace that have the black and gold necklace.
Correct, as the black and gold flowers.
I didn't talk about that necklace. That necklace is a different technique. It's
Oh.
a layering necklace, and I did with circles, flat circles, and then I put smaller circles on top of it, different black and gold like interspersed, and then I ruffled the circles on the ends, on the edges, to give it that flowery look. And I think you have some sparkly beads in the center. Yes,
correct. There's some just regular beads surrounding one sparkly bead. And unfortunately, my background is kind of making the picture disappear, but hopefully you all can see that. And as I said before, it's very light and quite comfortable to wear as well. So So yes, so thank you everyone. Thank you, Viola. It was a pleasure getting to go to your studio and getting to hear about your career and your work. And I want to thank all of our members for being here today. Please do try to tune in to our fundraiser later this evening or check it out later on if you are unavailable tonight. And I hope you all stay well, and we'll see you next time. Bye.
Bye.